because I am determined that we are going to achieve comprehensive immigration reform with a path to citizenship. So here is how I see it. First of all, we're going to start immediately. I want this to be a clear, high priority for my administration. We will be prepared to introduce legislation as quickly as we can do so. I am hoping that the outcome of the election, which I am working hard to ensure a victory, will send a clear message to our Republican friends that it's time for them to quit standing in the way of immigration reform. If you remember, after the 2012 election, the Republican National Committee did what they called an autopsy of their loss and concluded that they could not continue to deny the importance of immigration reform, and they urged Republicans running for office to get on board. Now, that hasn't turned out the way that they seem to have hoped. We have instead a Republican nominee who has been virulently anti-immigrant. But there's nothing like winning to change minds. And I think, number one, we have a good chance of having a Democratic Senate if everybody does what I hope they will do and vote for Democratic candidates for the Senate. I believe we will pick up some seats in the House and at least, if not take it back, narrow the numbers. If we move in the Senate and then we demand that there be a vote in the House, because I'm convinced that if the bipartisan bill that had been achieved in the Senate, remember when Marco Rubio was for it and people worked hard and achieved it, if it had been allowed to come for a vote in the House, it would have passed. So I view the political landscape as increasingly favorable to us making this happen. I will also defend the President's executive actions. I, like you, was disappointed with the Supreme Court decision, but remember what it did. It sent the case back to be tried. It did not determine the case. So DACA and DAPA are still alive. Trump has said one of his first acts as president would be to eliminate every executive order that President Obama has signed, including those on immigration issues. So I will defend DACA and DAPA while I work vigorously for immigration reform. I have proposed an Office of Immigrant Affairs for the White House so that we are able to answer questions and provide information and help people. I will take a very hard look at the deportation priorities. My priority are violent criminals, people suspected of any kind of connection to terrorism, not hardworking mothers and fathers and people who go to work, help support this economy, pay $12 billion a year into Social Security. So we will take a hard look at that. We will close private detention centers, just like I want to end private prisons. We're going to close private detention centers. So I have a very active agenda, and we're going to be moving on it. And I believe, and obviously it depends upon the outcome of this election, which is why it's so important to register more voters. My campaign's trying to register 3 million more voters, convince people to turn out, because we're going to start early and we're going to be tenacious and absolutely committed to getting a positive result. And I think the chances, once we win, will improve dramatically.